Hi, I'm Brian Douglas, co-founder of D3D, and today I'm going to take you on a tour of the D3D dual extruder. We're going to start with where we created it and the idea and how we got to where we are today. So the main problem that we saw with our first 3D printer was the fact that we could only print with a couple colors. So if we wanted support material or a different infill and a different exterior color, and even if we wanted to change up detail, we were limited and we couldn't do those things. And we wanted to do more. We didn't want to be limited by the printer. We wanted our creations to be limited by our imagination. So at D3D, our goal is to do more. And this all starts with our first design. We had about 12 or 13 different revisions along the way. We're going to go and visit the 4 major changes we've had in designs. In this first design, we had 2 stepper motors. The first stepper motor drives the filament, and the second stepper motor chooses which filament is driven by placement. And then on this, we have linear rails. The linear rails allow a more smooth movement. And we found that the most important parts of this design was the stepper motor that changed the extruder and the rails that allowed the movement. On our next design, we continued with those 2 designs, the linear rail and the stepper motor with the gear. Shown here, we have the linear rail that allows the gears to move back and forth, and the gear in the stepper motor which chooses which gears are activated. The biggest change in this design are the 2 idler gears for each piece of filament. What we've done with these idler gears is we've had them statically placed, so the filament is squished down in between them, allowing for good traction to be pushed down into the barrel. The nice thing about this design is we've taken the force needed to push the drive wheel against the filament and put that job to the gears. So now we can easily move back and forth between one set of gears or the other set of gears without major force, which has allowed us to get to this next design, which is better. The changes we made in this device have made it much more compact. Now it's the size of a typical single extruder. The placement of the rail has now been moved, and also the stepper motor from before is now replaced with a servo motor to switch from extruder A to extruder B. The static gears are in the same position as they were before. We did find upon testing that the gears would bind, so we had to come up with a solution. But we also found at the same time the servo was no longer needed. We could now switch without any mechanism besides what we have here. Direction of the stepper motor will change either interaction with extruder A or extruder B. And this comes to our last design. Our current design now is as we see it. Our first change is with the gear. Not only do we have the profile cut in it, but we've also put in the teeth. This allows for a sharp bite into the plastic for easy extruding. The next thing that we've changed are these swing arms. We've allowed a spring in here, and these arms to articulate and put pressure against the 2 pieces of filament which would go between these 2 gears. This has allowed for slight variations in filament, even large variations in filament, and the device would keep running without binding or slipping. So how does it work? This first image depicts if we want extruder B to work. The stepper drive would operate in a counterclockwise fashion, which this gear would rotate in the other, pushing the plastic down. And the whole mechanism would be then pulled this direction. Now to have the other extruder work, this would be operated in the clockwise fashion. This would be operated in a counterclockwise, pushing the filament down and pushing the drivetrain to the right. So we shared with you our journey, our progress, our intent, and our designs along the way. Now we would like you to help us choose what our final design is. We want the input of the end users and the Kickstarter helpers to choose what suits them best, what inspires the most creativity, and imagine for something greater.